Hi universe! You see me again today in 100 Days Live with Sonya. It's a bit dark here, sorry. I don't know, I have tried to set my camera and the light already, but you can still see me, right? I am black, I know. So you are in 100 Days Live with Sonya, the place for the experts and also, all of the great speakers to share their experiences and of course their strategies in life and business to reach their goals. And today we have another beautiful expert. I don't know, this week are full with the beautiful speakers. Cricket Harrison, he is a performance and productivity coach, and also I talked about productivity a little bit yesterday, and then today we are going to talk about it further, how we can stay productive, in this kind of situation where there are so many disturbances, disruptions, and so many things around us, and then maybe we feel lost sometimes because we don't know what is going to happen and after what's happening last year also, right? So welcome, Cody. How should I call you? Cricket Cody Harrison. Cricket Cody Harrison.
Just
Cricket.
Cricket works.
Wow, thank you. So this is a very great day that you are here. Thank you. I know it is late there, but you make it.
Yeah, that's okay. It's all
So
good.
yeah, and what makes you jump into 100 Days Live with Sonya that you booked the event? It's months ago, and I'm very happy that you support us right away.
And you're right. It's months ago, and I'm not sure I remember. But I think it was really just about speaking and how to get your message out and how to be heard.
Yeah.
And that's how I grew my business, was through speaking. And I spoke when I speak on stage, it's about performance and productivity. But when I'm with my entrepreneurs, all they ask me about is speaking. So for them, I speak.
Then we are going to talk about that today because we need to deliver our message out there, how to give our message about ourselves and also about our brand, of course.
Right.
And yes, how did you become productivity and also performance coach in the very beginning?
I started out in the world of learning disorders in adults. So how do people think and learn? What's off? What's different? And I started looking at what are the strategies we're using with adults who have learning challenges? And then how do they apply to the rest of us? Because the more I worked with people, they'd say, hey, can you help my friend, or can you help my daughter, or can you talk to my spouse? And I started thinking, everybody needs to know how they work best and how to set themselves up for success so that they do what's best for them. And I think when we all put ourselves in positions where we know we're at our best, we're going to have better results. It's just a given. It's not going to be as hard for us when we're doing what we do naturally best.
Yes, and how do we know what we do naturally best then?
How do you, trial and error. I wish I could tell you that there was one of those perfect assessments out there that tells you, but you can look at your history of school and what you're naturally drawn to and ask your friends. They'll tell you that what you're great at, because here's the thing is what each of us is great at is so easy for us that we don't see it. So something I do so naturally that I think everybody can do, one of my friends will be like, how do you do that? And I'm like, what do you mean? Don't you? And no. So you ask your friends, they'll tell you, oh my gosh, you're so good at seeing strategy, or you're so good at seeing a connect. And so I'm a firm believer that just through some conversation and some kind of soul searching and looking at your history, you can find your path. And then it's about exploring and seeing what does that path look like now? Because there's so many options these days of which way to go with something. Like if you love social media and you're great with computers, there's so many options for you to pick right now. So it's then how do we narrow down that path and find the best one?
Is it also because of your experience, which is more than 18 years and working also with more than 300 entrepreneurs? So,
that was that's through speaking. And I do have to say, that's one of the best parts about what I do is I get to hear and learn about what every entrepreneur I meet with is doing. What are they up to? Some of them are inventors. What are they creating? How did they get their business started? What's their story? I get to hear all of that, and it's a lot of fun.
yeah, and that's why. And what are their problems when they come to you about speaking? Is
I
it
think
about confidence? Is it about other thing then?
there's a little bit of everything, but the most common thing I see, and it's really interesting. If you're listening, I want you to think about this. The most common thing I see is people say, "Oh, I can speak about anything," and let me tell you, that's the kiss of death. Or they don't know the problem they solve. Now, I know everybody listening thinks they do, but can you articulate it in one sentence in 6 words very clearly so that the person bringing you on to speak knows exactly how you'll benefit their audience? And I interviewed, let's see,
6 words.
summer I did, 6 words. One summer I had the fortunate experience to do some speed coaching with a group of entrepreneurs. And of about 80 people, mostly women, it was a women's conference. There were a few very brave men there, but of about the 80 women I spoke to, 65 of them, that's a 6-5, could not tell me the problem they solved with their talk. They just want to talk. And I think we have to remember why it's a great tool to grow our business. And I tripled my business through speaking in 6 months. So it is truly the best way to do it. You have to remember that it's not about you. It's not enough just to say, "Oh, I'm good at this, I can do it." It's about practicing and knowing the problem you solve and making it about the audience and the people in the room. And it's never about yourself. And I think that's the biggest gap I see, is that understanding there's a problem I solve and it's about the other people.
Yes, and does it take very long for them to do that when they join your program?
That's a loaded question. No, it doesn't
I
have
know,
to.
but I want to ask that you're all of the secrets to share with us here today.
So, let's be honest. If you're open to coaching and you're open to feedback, no, it doesn't have to take very long at all. But when you ask people what's the problem they solve, or, it's like that whole "who's your target audience" question. People are almost afraid to get very specific. And the really interesting thing is that getting known for something very specific actually gives you more room to go broad. So if I'm known as an expert in an industry, then the next question, much like I was saying in the beginning, I was known for the adults I worked with. The next questions I got were, "Can you help my coworker too? Can you come talk to my team? Can you help my family?" So when you're known for something, it can expand. When you're all over the place and you're known for 10 things, nobody knows what you're going to speak on or what problem you're going to solve. And they're looking for experts who speak more than people are looking for speakers.
Yes, just like me. I want the best of the best.
Always.
Yeah, because I don't want the people reach the wrong person, for their coaching, for their mentoring, and also, of course, for their training. I want the best of the best, the right people that they can reach anytime, no matter what the budget they have. I believe that all of the speakers that we have in 100 Days Live with Sonya also are going to open about it, to help other people, of course, in the same platform. But I know that they want to give the feedback for the society, for the community in 100 Days Live with Sonya in our coaching universe, right? And then, yeah, there are many people who think that speaking is easy, right in front of the camera. That's why I also make the class for the live streaming. To be high performers in live streaming for the people, or especially the entrepreneurs who want to go out there to deliver their message. And in your program, is it the same between the offline and also online speaking? Do you differ that, or they have to learn both?
You have to learn both, because both will be here to stay. And honestly, even before the world we're in now, people were doing hybrids and virtual. I would often go into a corporate building for a presentation, and most of my audience was around the country. I would just be using their facilities. So it's not new, it's just new to most of the world. That is here to stay. You have to know kind of where's the camera, what to do. When do you lean in and whisper to get attention? You know, when do you go back? How big can your hands be without
when you
being
yell,
in your face?
yeah. I agree. Actually, I am better on the stage than on the in front of the camera, because I have something since I was a child that even parents told me that I was scared to camera. But yeah, I made it. You see, that's why I asked you. Is it important to do it on the stage or offline, or also online in front of the camera in your program? That's why.
I think it's both. I mean, when I work with people, I do have them send me videos of them speaking. I want to see how they are. I want to see how they present, how they are on camera. And then also, if they're on stage, I want to see that as well. How do they use the stage? How do they, when you have hands in this little box, right? I mean, you have to be careful. You can't be doing this. But when you're on stage and you can move and you can control and own the stage, you want to make sure that you're not like this. You want to own the stage. And so there are different tendencies there. But I also believe it's not a cookie cutter approach. It's based on individuals and their personality and how they show up best. And I don't believe everybody's the same. What works for one doesn't always work for somebody else.
I agree. So you explore their personalities, not try to change them, right?
Right. We try to just enhance what's best for them.
And then what outcomes do they have, or what changing do you usually have after 1 month joining your program?
So it's not always 1 month. It depends on where they come in. Usually month one is honestly about getting that message straight about what's the message.
Yeah, that's
what's the problem I solve? How do I talk about what I do? One of the very first things we work on is how do I introduce myself? I don't call it an elevator pitch, but how do you talk about what you do and not make it about you? How do you talk about the problem you solve? Because if you can't do that at the outset, it's going to be really hard to carry an audience for 15, 20, 30 minutes when you're not really talking about yourself. But once we get the message down and we know the problem you solve, we also have to look at the goal of the talk. If we're creating a talk, what's the purpose of it? What's the outcome you want? What's the offer it's leading to? And then we come back and we look at how does the talk get structured? What are the best stories to use? What order should they go in? What's the best story to lead if you're making an offer to the offer you want? When do you do a call to action? When do you offer a freebie? What does that look like? And we also look at, contracts. We look at agreements. We look at what's the follow-up? What are the pieces you need in place online? What does the social media look like? What camera shots do you want? What kind of recordings do you want? How to get? I mean, we kind of look at all of that based on how you want to use your talk. If you want to get it recorded, what do you need? What does it need to look like? How do we create a speaker reel? What are the parts you need for that? And again, it really depends. When someone comes to me, it depends on where they are in the process. So if they've already been speaking and they have a talk they love that maybe is just not converting, then we look at what's missing and we tweak the talk and what does the conversion look like. If they're at ground zero where it's like, I'm not clear on the problem I solve, then that's where we start. And then some people, it's like, I'm speaking a lot, but I'm not getting as much out of it as I want. Again, then we look at the stories and the offer and what's the transition and what needs to be changed there.
Yes, and then about the pitching, how can they start to do it? When the first time they have no confidence, because first they introduce themselves and then we have to give something in the 20 minutes, the first 20 minutes, right?
Well, so in a talk, you can just offer a conversation. And a pitch is different, and pitch gets used so differently now. This is not a Shark Tank pitch. That is what I call a pitch. When you are in front of investors and you've got a certain amount of time, that's a pitch. When I'm just meeting you, I might introduce myself and say, hey, I'm Kricket Harrison. As a professional speaker, I work with entrepreneurs just like you to learn how to grow their business faster through speaking. That includes everything from your spoken message and your introduction all the way up to creating that talk that converts, and how do we get you booked on stages.
Kricket, thank you. After this, there will be many entrepreneurs who will copy paste that speaking.
But I want you to notice I only said I one, maybe 2 times, and I never told you the name of my business. I never told you the letters after my name. I didn't tell you where I was certified. I told you the problem I solved and who I solved it for. And I touched on 3 problems: your introduction, creating a talk that converts. Well, there's my hand. Introduction, a talk that converts, and how to get booked. So therefore, I hit 3 different areas.
And how to get booked. I want to highlight about how to get a book, the book, because it is like this. Even in my experiences in 100 Days Live with Sonya, in the beginning, when they apply or register to be the speakers, there were more than 500 people who would like to join us in 3 groups. Imagine that they all give comments. And many of them send their press kit also, their bio and their headshot, right? And I realized not all of speakers are ready to speak from that only. You know what I mean? With their profile picture, and then you can imagine how difficult a host or an event organizer to edit it. So their bio sometimes too long, and then they are not ready to be copy paste, even though it is a very fancy form. Not only in the Word but also PDF. They are very fancy, but what for if we cannot use it? You know what I mean? Because we need to use it in any condition, like for the such as the press kit also. Do you also help your clients to do that?
I help my clients create that. I help them create their speaker one sheet. And then, to your point, everybody needs something different. So I probably have 20 different bios right now. And I do files, save as, I put the title of the program, and I make sure it hits as close as I can to the parameters that are required. How many words, what it needs to have, what it needs to include. I probably have 5 different 100-word bios. I have a couple of 50-word bios. I don't just randomly send things. I customize what I do. So as a speaker, you make for the easiest part of the process. It needs to be easy. I want it to be easy to work with me. I've got my headshot I send in. I've got more than one if they need a choice. And I know my topics. I know my points really fast. And I can do it in about 5 minutes if I'm at my computer. And the challenge is when you put out a call for speakers on Facebook or on a large group, you are getting the masses, which gets you the 500 applications. But then you've got to go through them all. And it is harder. And to your point, we do get a lot of people who are speaking. And, it's not for me to decide whether they are speakers or not. But you do have to vet your speakers. Anybody that's hosting an event has to vet their speakers. You need to be able to find video of them. If you want, I would, if it was me, video of them. You need to know what they're going to talk about. What is their track record. You don't want somebody coming on your platform that's going to speak out on something that is going to go against your community or your standards or the values of your group or yourself in your stage, because ultimately it is your stage. And so it reflects back on you. And it is always a challenge because honestly, even with my clients, I always want to encourage people. I never want to say, hey, you need some work. And guess what? Sometimes there are people that you're like, hey, it needs some work, And those speakers will know that because they're not converting, because they're not getting booked or it's not converting. I think during the pandemic, I did 60 presentations. I did multiple a week. That's how you know you're onto something. But it's also, going back to where we started this conversation, it's because I know the problem I solve and I knew it so well that I knew the next problem my hosts, my platform people, and my event hosts and my speakers were going to have. So I was able to tweak my talk immediately to what was going on in the world and what they should do next. And that's what got me booked.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for Tim Gillette, Larry Roberts, and also Jesse Guthrie were with us today. And let me tell you a secret. Actually, in my speaking, in selecting the speakers, the experts, I don't believe in speakers who say that I can talk about everything. Because I believe someone has something special in them to share, their expertise at least. That's why I don't believe in the speakers who say that, I can talk about everything, because not all of the events are for you. We need to choose the right events that's suitable for us also, right?
Right.
Even though in 100 Days Live with Sonya, I didn't make any team, and I asked the expert to share what they love, what they are passionate about, what they are experienced in, also something like that. That's why, from the 500 people, I choose on this 100, and then it will be less in our online World Summit in June. And I haven't informed you about it, so you will be confused also today about it, because it hasn't happened yet. I have already selected 10 speakers, and they are again the great lineup. So this is what I do. I don't believe in the speakers who say that, I can talk about everything. Maybe they are good about everything, but maybe they cannot share the real values that they experience with. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that is the good way. Maybe I will change later, but this is my first step here.
No, you make a very good point, and I agree with you. Everybody's got a story to tell. Everybody's got something inside of them that is worth sharing. The difference is you have to hone that craft and that story before you go on stage or on someone's platform. So it's not that. And again, if you've ever heard somebody tell a story and they're like all over the place and you're like, what did they say? Where did they go? What are they doing? You want to make sure that when you're telling your story that people can follow along. And that's why it's better to have an experienced, I don't want you memorized. I don't do memorized, but you need to be really clear on why you're sharing your story. Who's it for? And what's the purpose? It needs to have an outcome that's not about you. But I do believe everybody has a story to share. And really everybody I work with, based on their expertise, we can find a personal story. I don't force them. I don't create them. Oh, we have to make this work here. I don't do that. But we can find stories that are their experience that shaped who they are and how they got where they are that support what they're doing. There's always something in there. So there is a piece of everyone has a story. I believe everyone. Not all speakers want to be on stages. Remember, we talked about at the beginning where some just want to stay online, and that's okay. Even my introverts, because a lot of speakers, just like actors and comedians, are introverts. So being online is a great stage for them. It's a great place, but you still have to know your message. You still have to know the problem you solve and make sure whatever story or message you're sharing has a purpose that goes beyond ourselves, which is hard sometimes as a speaker. It's always saying we have to work on it, And then you're right. You want to make sure that when you're bringing someone in, that remember, you're bringing in experts who speak versus bringing in speakers. So they're coming in because they have an expertise. It might be in sleep. It might be in helping babies sleep. It might be in allergies. It might be in ice skating, but it's in something specific. It's just saying, I'm going to bring in someone to talk about sports. I'm going to bring in someone to talk about ice skating or about gymnastics or about swimming. And then that's the subject. You want to be more specific. So for my generalists out there, I want you to find something that you can kind of take hold of as the thing you want to be the expert in. If you're in social media, that's great. And what we look for in speakers right now is a LinkedIn expert or a Canva expert or an Instagram expert. We don't look for a social media expert. We look for the specific expert. And so that's where we need to learn as entrepreneurs to kind of wrap ourselves around what can we be the expert in? What do we have depth of knowledge and depth of experience in? That when someone says, well, what makes you an expert? You can say, well, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I've worked with several hundred people. I've spoken on this many stages, whatever it is. You've got something to back you up. It's not like, well, COVID hit and my business was crashing, so I just decided I was going to do this. We got to have more than that. It doesn't mean you're not good at what you do, but we got to have more than that to be able to build the credibility and the platform around you for a speaker.
Okay, then I will believe in you and let you to recommend more speakers to me. We still have 5 speakers left in May because it is a long way, to go.
Yep.
So the people are not ready for their schedule. Then I put some slots empty for May. That will be okay. And
okay.
Cricket, in doing the speaking business, there are so many speaking guru out there. What makes you special then? Do you have any certain technique or certain system?
I think the difference for me is I actually do this for a living. I am not a business coach who just also teaches speaking, and a lot of people are. So I do this for a living, and there's a couple of models, and I do all 3. I'm paid to speak. I do the speak to sell process, which is what most entrepreneurs do when you're speaking for no fee and you're doing it to get clients. But I've also spoken on national stages of conferences where I'm the only non-PhD in the room on the subject matter.
Yes.
So requests for proposals, how do you get on bigger stages? I have maybe paid to speak once, just once. So a lot of times you'll see in the entrepreneurial market, it's a pay to play game. I have to pay to get on stage. That's really called a sponsorship in the speaking world.
Yes.
And it can work if you do it right. Most people don't, but it can work if you do it right. And I say most people, I'm talking of the thousands, maybe 100 do. It's a smaller percentage that are hugely successful. And so I do all 3. I am a TEDx coach. I've coached NFL football players on their TEDx talk. I'm really known for the networking talk that converts. So that talk you're going to go give to an association, that talk that's 20 to 30 minutes, how to organize it and structure it so that it converts, whether it converts into lead or sales, but that it grows your business and helping you figure out that thing that you are known for, that I call it your stake in the ground. What's the flag you're going to fly that people are going to say, okay, we know that when we need something, we're going to Sonya for this. That's really, as opposed to just, I say the biggest difference is I really, this is my world. I'm not a generalist, just like I coach my clients to be. I'm not a generalist. I don't speak on everything. I don't speak on any subject. Even in my corporate trainings, I don't speak on all this random stuff. I only speak on speaking and communication. So I really live what I do, and I do that first. As opposed to being, as opposed to being a coach, which there's nothing wrong with the other coaches. It's just a different model. And I am actually on stage doing it. So I always come back to my own Facebook group and I share with them, this is what worked. This is what didn't work. This is what happened. And I tell them the good, the bad, the ugly, and what they can learn from it.
Yeah, for paying to speak, it happens a lot in the coaching world, but not on the live streaming world. Actually, for the live streamers, mostly they prefer to speak for free than pay for the stage right or for the platform. And then, what is the right thing to do it if you have to do it, and how to choose the right event or the right platform to do that you have to pay for your speaking.
So if you're going to do a sponsorship where you pay for a speaking spot, you want to do your homework. You want to know how, and I got to give credit because a lot of this part I learned from Suzanne Evans. You got to know how many butts are in the seats, and you've got to have that in writing. Your sponsorship and your value is based on how many people am I going to get in front of the room. So say you pay $5,000 to speak on a stage because there's going to be 500 of your perfect, clients in there. And then only 200 show up. You've got to know that. How many were at your last conference? Who else is speaking? What offer is the host making? What are the other offers? Are you allowed to make an offer? Is it a free offer and just list building? Are you allowed to make a paid offer? Is the host making an offer that competes with your offer? Are there other people speaking or sponsoring that compete with what you're doing? And then the best way so you want to do your research. You want to do your homework. What is the right stage for you to be on? And then what is your offer that crowd really needs? And here's the difference. It's not the offer you think they need. It's the offer they're going to want. And again, that's why your talk has to lead to that place. It has to be a no-brainer for them to say, yes, I need what you have. I want your opt-in. I want your slides, or I want your freebie, or I want your $97 offer, whatever that is. It has to be set up, because that's where the follow-through comes in. And here's the other thing I see a lot of speakers in the entrepreneur market do. They get all excited and they book it and they get the stage and they do the talk and they love all of it, and they do no follow-up. And it's like it ends and they don't do anything. They don't reach out to the people, or they reach out to them once or twice and that's it. And they don't do anything else with them. And so they're not nurturing those leads once they get them to the next step, to the next place, to get the sale. So just because you're speaking and paying to speak on that stage, your return on investment may come a few months down the road, in terms of then they're getting to know you, you're sending videos, or they're in your Facebook group, and then you make an offer down the road when they've gotten to know you better. And that's where you start to see your return on investment. But I think anytime somebody's trying to talk you into something, then you want to step back and say, hey, wait a minute, is this right for me? Because you got to remember, the hosts and the planners, I mean, that's their job and they're very good at it. And their job is actually to make sure they get the right people on the stage, but they've also got to fill those spots. And that's a sales position as well for whoever's doing it. That's not always the event planner doing it. That usually is a salesperson doing the sponsorships. And they've got to make their sales, and they want their event to be good, but they're also going to fill their spots. So again, you also want to make sales. Yeah. And you want to make sure that you're aligned with the group and the other speakers. You do not want to have some event where you go and you're sharing with your people on your list, and you get to the event and all the other people are not people you would ever want to share the stage with.
Yes.
You want to make sure.
And sometimes they talk about different things that against our speaking also. I knew that sometimes in some events here.
Sometimes they talk about stuff that is not what they said they were going to talk about at all. They do a bait and switch. I don't think it's intentional. I think they just sometimes don't realize that they sent you the old talk or old material and they've changed it now because it was a couple of months ago and now I'm doing this. But I've seen that where speakers come in, we're booked to talk about one thing, and next thing you know, they're talking about something totally different. And you're like, that's not what it says on the program, So yeah, you have to, it's a business. And I think people forget about that too. Speaking is a strategy. It's a marketing strategy to grow your business, but this is about business. There's strategy behind it. There are follow-through strategies. There's strategies to organizing your talk. It's not just a free for all. I mean, it can be, but you're not going to have as much success unless you kind of understand how it works and how to get the most out of it.
Yeah. About the TEDx, I would like to ask you why it becomes like a barometer or a matter for speakers, to be known. You know what I mean? You are a real speaker if you have already talked in the TEDx. But I see that because of it, there are so many people who would focus on it, instead of creating the good contents or deliver the good speech in other platforms, right? They make
I'll
it
tell you, like I haven't done a TEDx yet, and I'm a real speaker.
Yeah.
So you have to watch, and what we learn. So TEDx talks are great, and there's two sides to them. You have to, yes, it's an idea worth sharing. They're local in the community now. Anybody, and I'm not trying to take away from it. I just want people to understand there's a business model behind it. Anybody can buy a TEDx license.
I smell that also. I'm afraid that it will be commercialized and it will reduce the quality of the speakers or the content they deliver.
Ideally, it's not reducing the quality. Ideally, you're getting people. It's really not designed for professional speakers, although a lot of professional speakers have done it. They want new ideas, not what you're already speaking on. The talks run anywhere from 8 to 15 minutes, usually more in the 8 to 12 range. But what's interesting about the system is they usually always have a theme, and they will pick speakers who align with their theme or their message for their event. Some of them will be people that applied, and here's the rub. Some of them will be their best friends or people they know that are like, oh, I'm a TEDx speaker. And that's great. They have a fabulous opportunity to either succeed or not. What they didn't have to do was go through all the hoops to get picked. So I just want to make sure people understand that there is more to it than that. It is fabulous if you can do that. And if you do really well in a TEDx talk, TED will pick it up and promote it. So, that's great. So it's never a bad thing, but it is also not the be all end all. So just because someone, like I haven't applied to do one. I've been a coach, but I haven't applied to do one. So, don't, take it with a grain of salt. It is a great opportunity. Absolutely. And then you see people who have done 8 TEDx talks. And I'm like, how many ideas worth sharing do you have? Like, really? You kind of got to wonder, is it really that many brand new ideas just popping in that you're getting chosen all the time? Or, who do you know? And it's a balance of both. And I only say that just to help people. So many people put so much weight on whether they're good or not and whether they get picked or not. And there's always another opportunity. You do need a very clear message. You need a single idea, and to be able to show what the ripple effect is off of that. It is different than your keynote networking marketing talk. It is not the same. But I also don't want you to beat yourself up and think I'm not any good and I'm not a professional or I'm not a good speaker if I don't get picked for a TEDx talk, because there's so much more that goes into it than that.
Oh, that is not my reason if I don't apply. You can imagine in here, I want to speak in English, and of course that is in English, right? But you speak in front of the non-English speakers only to fill the room. You know what I mean? That's what.
Oh, really?
That's why I don't want to do it. Yeah, because this is not an English-speaking country. English is like a second language right now, our main language, our primary language, something like that.
So many of them are being done online, though. Maybe you could find one where they're doing it online, because I think think that's a story too. Is communication across the globe now more than ever. We're not limited, especially with our internet tools and our streaming tools. We're not limited to where we can speak anymore.
Yeah, that's true, but that is not my focus at this time. Also, it's like I see a lot of people talk in the Toastmaster or something like that and make it as their program online, right? Well, for me, Toastmaster at that time was only a place to practice, to hang out with friends. I didn't even finish my CC, even though I was best speaker for some competition or something like that. That's why it wasn't my intention to do like the other people. This is my program, because for me Toastmaster is like a place to practice, not to show yourself out there, And I was very happy already that in the Toastmaster I speak in front of the American Council, for example. Yeah, I speak in some international events here also, like with the ILO, something like that. But yeah. I don't know.
And Toastmasters is great for both. There are some amazing speakers that come out of Toastmasters that learn the foundations, and then they learn how to keynote, because there are some overlaps, but there's also some differences. And then there are people who just take it to learn how to better do presentations and workshops and things like that. So there's value. And the key again is, what's the value you need to get out of it? It's not about the labels and the rewards. And it's what, if you got what you needed out of it, then that's all you needed.
Yeah, in my opinion about it, based on my experience at that time, it depends on the club you join it, because
absolutely it does.
Something
I agree with you there.
In here also, sometimes they only put you in a club to fill their seat, only to fill the members. So they are not the people who are nice to work with to develop your speaking ability, something like that. So it depends also. And cricket, club culture, I understand. And then, wow, you shared a lot of things this morning. I feel honored that you are here. But time is running. And yeah, maybe I hope that you can join for the next event. And
I hope I can. Let's talk about that.
Yippee! And how can our viewers reach you out easily? Please put it in the comments for your links.
I'll type it in the comments. The easiest way, honestly, with our world right now is probably through Facebook. And can I even leave a comment? We can put it in. So they can reach me on Facebook.
Yeah.
You'll see that Kricket is with a K. So Kricket Harrison on Facebook. I think I'm the only one with a K. And then they can also find me in my group. It's, facebook.com/groups/smart success group.
Am I there? I don't know yet.
Yep.
I have to
I
check
don't
out.
see it. I'm not sure it's showing up on my end. So smart success
I
group.
will.
And they can
It'll
always
be great to join.
They can always send me a DM. All I ask is that if someone sends me a DM, you tell me where you're coming from. So I don't think it's just some random stranger going, hey, let's chat.
Why? Is there any discount or special price for our viewers to reach you or from our coaching universe and 100 Days Live with Sonya if they mention?
Yeah, there you go. A special thing. Well, one of the things I like to do is I have a free Facebook group. And here's the reason. Speaking is a speaking thing. It's not about you getting a download and reading something and then you get better. It's you need to interact. We need the opportunity. I speak in my group. I want to hear people speak. I want some interaction when I'm training. And so I find that that's a better way for people to get to know me and to learn what I'm about and to learn the material and to have me kind of model it at the same time versus just giving you a handout. We kind of did a study and 80% of downloads and opt-ins are like looked at and then trashed or people unsubscribe. And I want something that I'm going to give people more value to, that they have an opportunity to stay in a community and interact much like your coaching community.
Yeah, I agree. And last question, but not least, actually.
Okay.
What is your message for our viewers, and what do you think about 100 Days Live with Sonya then?
So I think, first of all, I'm very impressed with you that you're doing this. I don't know that I could have done 100 days live.
Thank you.
So I think that's fantastic. I'm like, wow, she's really doing this. I think my message for
viewers.
This is
halfway. Almost 50.
Wow.
50.
It's impressive.
50 more days. Very fast,
impressive.
right?
Yeah. What I want everybody to know is the fastest way to grow your speaking and to gain expert status is through speaking when done correctly. Know your message, but more importantly, know the problem you solve and make your conversations about the problem you solve and about how you help other people and not about yourself. I don't need to know all your credentials and titles until I know if you can help me with something. So, and again, if you want people to opt in, even as a coach, so my life coaches are like, well, what am I supposed to be an expert on? Talk about transition, talk about change, talk about, the ups and downs of life. Use your stories and your experiences. If you help people who are struggling to find the next place in their life, do X, whatever that is, you've got stories around that. You've got knowledge and training from your personal experience that you can share with people. So there is always something there, and get out and get in front of people, and you can do this.
Oh, thank you so much. That is a really valuable message for all of us here, not only for our viewers, but also for me. And once more, thank you so much for coming into 100 Days Live with Sonya. And also, of course, for other speakers who help and support us in this event, and all of our sponsors, also especially today, our main sponsor, Rose Brand in livestreamuniverse.com. Nice. So if you love this program, please do not forget to register to our coachinguniverse.anitasonya.com, our coachinguniverse.anitasonya.com, and I'll see you next. See you. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.